Hi, thanks for everyone, as it were, for joining us. And uh, the reason I've called you all in today is because we're gonna be putting on a brief and hopefully very informative little benefits and to inform our members of the benefits of being a part of ICMA. So I felt it was important to put on an event like this for the ICMA chapter that was akin to our old mid-semester reorientations that the program used to put on before COVID. This is a chance to have a kind of a guided tour to familiarize ourselves with the resources and the references that the ICMA organization provides to its members. Some of our members are new to the MPA program, or are somewhere in the middle of it, but some, like myself, are in our last semester. So I'm also putting this event on to emphasize the purpose and benefits of the ICMA organization after the MPA program and what it can do for us as postgrads and professionals. This is something that I felt was important, was needed as a board member, and is and, excuse me. And so I thought it would be helpful to our memberships and our prospective membership. I don't anticipate this session going over an hour. I want to be sure that, excuse me. I just want to be sure that uh, we get the chance to ask as many questions as our guest speakers as we get the chance to. We'll do quick introductions. And then I'll run through a review of the website and highlights of the ICMA website that I thought were interesting parts of what were to us as MPA students, and as well as to open the floor for some Q&A. So let's jump into introductions. So I'll start with myself. My name is Grant, and I'm currently in the capstone course. I first joined the MPA program in late 2019. My emphasis is in environmental administration, and I've been with the ICMA. I've been a member of ICMA on and off for about the last 2 years. Of which this semester is my first and last as being on the board. I'm coming from a sales background and hoping to transition into a clean energy policy or really anything related to that within the public administration field. And the next introduction is of our professional advisor, Jim. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Great, thank you, Grant. I'm Jim Schutz. I was the recently retired city manager of the city of San Rafael, California. I was with San Rafael for about 17 years and was the city manager for about 8 of those years. I have a little over 30 years in local government, and I am the volunteer, what we call city manager in residence for the San Francisco State's MPA program. So I'm trying to help out the students within the ICMA student chapter as you go through and learn more about ICMA and figure out how to make ICMA work for you as students.
All right. Now, a big part of what I thought would be very relevant for our members is just kind of the resources that are most immediately available to all of us via the ICMA website. So I have prepared a quick notes sheet, as well as just like we'll be going through the website via the notes sheet, and I'm just going to kind of introduce everybody to what they can get out of just through their student membership. They can get out of the website, and that's the next brief portion of our little presentation here. And then I'm going to try and do let's see, how do I share my screen here? Screen 2. There we go. All right. And so let's see. The first thing I wanted to point out was just kind of one of the what I thought was kind of the bigger deal things. If you're interested in public policy, it turns out ICMA actually has a big public policy arm to it. And so we're going to go to About ICMA, and we're going to go to Public Policy. And ICMA advocates on behalf of professional managers. It drafts white papers and fact sheets. As well as provides advice and expertise on policies and to decision makers. Much of the content under the white pages and fact sheets page would be in, let's see, white pages and fact sheets. Policy matters. Where'd it go? Control F. White papers. Okay. Well, here we are. Yeah, white papers and fact sheets. And you can click on white papers itself. Oh, oops, it wasn't there. But the point is, it has many of these links also have information and just things that would be generally interesting to and possibly helpful for the 730 what was that called? The management course, financial management course, um, that I thought was immediately applicable, and especially the white sheets, which has a lot to do with budgeting and what a professionally drawn up budget looks like and proposals look like, which if you've taken or plan to take the 730 course, is immediately relevant. Let's see, and then there's also a link on the blockchain tech in local government, which is a good example of what policy analysis can look like at a professional level. I'm gonna bring that up. So yeah, this document here, which I had managed to find, which is basically a large policy analysis. Again, great for an example of what you'll be looking into in the 770 policy analysis course. For kind of like the basic steps of how an analysis is done professionally, broken down, and really like who it's for and how it's made available. So again, I just thought, having taken that course, oh, I wish I'd seen this. This is actually a really great example of policy analysis being done right and being done by the very organization that you're looking to or already a part of. So from there, we're going to jump over to the strategic plan that ICMA puts out, because again, strategic plan is something that is a strategic plan is something that comes up repeatedly throughout the course and throughout the program in many different courses, as either a solution to organizational issues, as a way of planning out what the organization is going to achieve. It's a constant theme. So the ICMA strategic plan, again, as an example of what that can and should look like, I thought was a very useful thing. For example, in my 700 course, I think it was I did a assessment of, or looked at the example that ICMA itself did in its core beliefs and its value systems. We looked at public service values. So I'm sure if you're in 700, looking at this very webpage has been, and this very content has been already suggested to you. But if it hasn't, it's a great example, and it's something I did when I was in 700. And yeah, just to point it out, and you can download the strategic plan itself. And again, great example of what a strategic plan is supposed to look like. And you can go over it bit by bit and see the goals that it outlines and how it outlines it. And it's just, when you continue to think about strategic plans in the future, it's just a good reference and a good example to go by. I was taking a minute to load in. So we'll move on to annual reports, which is annual reports. There we are. And again, I liked the annual reports page because it again is I think it relates most to the finance courses that we're going to have, or that you're going to have. The fiscal year 2022 annual report is a great example of an impact and budgeting report for PA 730, the resource allocation and management course. And so again, you can just go ahead and download that very same report here. And if it's a good example of what budgeting and public management priorities can look like when written out and done again, just I thought very professionally and very uh, to make a very impactful example for the 730 class. And then we're gonna switch on over to, because again, this is basically just like you're gonna do in your capstone course. We're doing this to help you build an inventory of resources to then look back on and reference later. So we're gonna move over to ethics. And again, this is very applicable to, well, this is applicable to many courses, but 700 especially because that's where the emphasis on ethics and kind of the introduction to public administration principles is going to be felt the most. And the ethics, so what I liked most about this was something called the ethics workshop. Let's see if I can find it on the page again. Ethics matter, ethics advice complaint. I know it's on this page. Here we are, University Ethics Workshop. So the ethics workshop page is ideal for anyone just starting out in PA 700, but also but is always relevant throughout the program. There are in-person events centered on building a culture of ethical behavior within challenging and essential jobs. Areas covered that stood out include balancing what's legal versus what's ethical, and addressing perceived and or real conflicts of interest. There's also another subcourse called the Ethics 101 course, which is meant for managers to be able to present to staff, but its topics, but the topics covered appear to be more of a kind of boots on the ground version of ethics when compared to bigger picture topics that were often covered in 700. So again, I thought this was, these contents and these courses from ICMA itself are directly applicable and usable within the 700 course. Within, like, it covers many of the same topics and is, I just thought, a robust resource for anyone in 700, but beyond that as well. And yeah, just as the ICMA professional organization, it's meant to help you kind of ingrain and really act within the professional ethics of being a public administrator well into your career. So something that is, I think, relevant in the course, in the program, in the MPA program, and well outside of it as well. And the Ethics 101 course. Ethics 101 self-paced course online. Like I said, all of these links are built into the notes that are I can make available upon request as well. If anyone watching this is unable to attend live. And go to, and then here's really the meat and potatoes of what ICMA, being a member, especially a student member, is really all about, is that career coaching. So what they have here is, this is the general coaching page. Let's go to the one-on-one coaching page. So as a ICMA member, you are entitled to, as a student member especially, you are entitled to 12 coaching sessions per year. That's basically one a month. And then as a member, if you were to use up all of those before the end of the year, you basically just send in a request and they'll send you 12 more. So you get, like, this is, especially for those of you that are already working within the public relations space or in nonprofits or elsewhere in a related field, like ICMA's coverage of topics and fields is pretty extensive. So there's almost always going to be a right kind of coach for you. And it's an opportunity to just have a one-on-one conversation to really bounce ideas, or say, I'm struggling with this, or I'm not sure what to do with this dilemma at work. I've run into an ethical dilemma. What, help me through it. And that's something that our professional advisor here, Jim, can do for us, but it's also something that is available to us outside of the program, and just to, in case, Jim's a city manager, but if you're working more closely in, I don't know, something like immigration or something that's not necessarily his area of expertise, there'll be a coach for you. And it's just a matter of signing up and finding it. This does require you get a separate Coach Connect account, but it's just another, like, little login and password is really all amounts to, and then you're going to have all the access you could want to your coaches as a member. And I just think it's one of the more robust, useful, like really highly relevant, easy to utilize kind of portions of and biggest benefits of being an ICA member. So I can't emphasize enough how cool this page is, and how anyone watching should definitely give it a look through. There's also ICMA puts out, I'm actually not sure if this is exclusive to members or if it's just generally available, but the Career Compass, which is I believe this is a series of, yeah, it's a monthly column that I think it's a great resource for just depending on the class you're in, because there's something in this monthly column. This is the archives. In all of these publications, 100 articles in total. In here, there are at least a dozen articles that are going to touch upon, any one of our courses throughout the program. And it's just a matter of kind of looking through these little headlines and finding, does that relate to the finance course? Does that relate to the organizational design course? Does this relate to change management? Does this relate to HR? Like, it's in here though. So these are great, kind of all fairly short. Let's try one. Publications and articles that either provide advice or provide something of use to any number of your courses. So I wanted to include that. And again, I just can't emphasize enough how you just have to kind of browse through here to really find what works for you and what relates to your course. Next, we're going to go to webinars. And so again, another big advantage of being in of being a registered member is you get access. I believe it's free access for members to join these webinars. Again, depending on the topic, depending on the course, there's something here for everyone. Fostering civil discourse, is certainly something that comes up in, I think it's a source that comes up for 700, but they're innovative ideas to solve everyday problems, which is that already coming on live 2023? Yeah. So these have all come and gone. Last time I visited this page, I could have sworn there were some that were still upcoming. But again, just kind of, this is a great way of kind of getting yourself into that community, because being that these are live, I imagine that you as members get to have a bit of a Q&A at the end as well. But it's something that's immediate, it's available, it's relevant to all of us depending on the courses that we're in at the time, but it will be relevant to all of us throughout the course, throughout the program, I should say. And again, we're just blowing right through these, but again, like I said, just write them down, and remember to reference these sometime in the future when it becomes relevant to the particular course you're in. We're going to go to the member benefits page now. So this is a detailed list of all the member amenities and benefits. So this is as a member, you get like the bullet point list of what you get as members of ICMA. So you share on these core benefits, you receive unlimited one-on-one coaching via ICMA Coach Connect, as we covered. Participate in member-only online discussions on ICMA Connect. That also, did I put that in this page, in these notes? There's kind of a forum on here as well that members get to, again, instead of like necessarily one-on-one immediate feedback kind of thing, you get to post on forums and kind of get a community feedback on whatever issue you might be having or problem or dilemma. So again, super cool kind of resource for where you get professional feedback, especially for someone just starting out. I'm not sure about this thing at work. I ran into a problem with a coworker or something, feedback. It's always available in a professional setting here from other professionals who have already been through it. You could receive professional advice via the Senior Advisor Program. Receive and so yeah, you get a free subscription to PM Magazine, something that Jim Schutz has been featured on probably a number of times. And so again, the web pages here, I can't necessarily go through all of them in a time efficient manner. But it's one, like I said, the point of this seminar, as it were, is to kind of give you the highlights of what the website offers, so then you can then take advantage of and as a member. So we'll continue to move on down the line. So let's see, ICMA Connect, yeah. So ICMA Connect. Let's see. Oh yeah, I think this is the forum I was just mentioning. Yeah, latest discussions, code of conduct and ethics. So if you have questions of what is an ethical, or what is what are examples of ethical dilemmas or things that, oh, let's see, I need to log in. Let's see what we get here. But yeah, it's just another kind of resource to bounce ideas and get clarity. And I can't necessarily predict where exactly in the 700 or other courses this may be most applicable to, and looks like our page hasn't moved along, so so we'll just keep moving along. So PM Magazine. So yes, here's the magazine you get access to. That again is a perfectly reputable and usable academic source for reference in your classes, and just for kind of giving context and clarity to a lot of just a whole plethora of public administration issues, and public interest and public, everything public related. So again, another really great resource and page to take a note of, and be able to subscribe to as a member. But I believe this does take a membership for it to be free. Let's go to leadership and development programs. Leadership and development. So the program has a large emphasis on equity. Our program has a large emphasis on equity, and the Leadership Institute in Race, Equity, and Inclusion is a program that members can join to gain deeper insights into ongoing conversations within the space. And again, I would encourage you to take a moment to read through this webpage in particular. But again, I just remember from my time in 700, like this would have been, had I known about it, there's so many resources. I know it's overwhelming, but if you want to kind of streamline your resource and reference kind of pipeline, I feel like this is a great place to do that with, and is very helpful in just kind of making, I want to say, decisions, or at least make your writing a bit more straightforward and able to follow, because it's just so streamlined here within these web pages, and within what ICMA already provides on its take on race, equity, and inclusion, and other topics, and other related topics. And lastly, one of the pages I picked out is from that page is this one called Government 101 and 102 courses. These, I feel like, are especially for once you're out of the program, because these do have a bit of a price tag that comes with them, which is not necessarily a joke. That's fairly pricey courses to be a part of. However, as a professional, these might be useful to not just yourself, but let's say you're getting employees that aren't already a part of, or haven't gone through a master's program, haven't gone through our master's program, because ours has such a emphasis on fundamentals and equity and kind of fair treatment, and making sure that the public interest is met. These courses can be, I guess, purchased and given to anyone that you think might need, especially as a manager, because that's what we're all basically training to be, is public managers. Um, Help them. It might help folks that haven't gone through a master program get closer to, if not on board with, the same level that we as folks going through the program and as folks already out of the program um, already have had. So it's another, I think, great resource that ICMA makes available to its members, and and kind of an enhancement of what you can help then teach to others as those that work under you, perhaps. And I know that was real quick and a real whirlwind of a tour. Like I said, I included notes at the that with workable links within those notes for our highlights. And if anybody so desires it, you can always you can always send an email to me, and I'll just send you the notes right back. And yeah, that really concludes what I was hoping to cover. And now I just think it's just we can move on to anything Jim may have that either fill in some gaps, or just kind of your general experience with ICMA enhancing your career, or otherwise being, useful to you both in and, well, out, not in the program, but outside of the program, especially as a professional. Yeah.
Great, thanks, Grant. I think I'm going to change a little bit of what I was planning on saying, because you were really thorough in covering kind of a lot of stuff that ICMA does. So I thought what I would do is kind of go really big picture, and then give you some like more detailed examples of things that students might find interesting, that get them excited about being involved in ICMA. From a really big picture standpoint, I was trying to come up with what I thought would be kind of like the three main reasons why you should join the ICMA student chapter at San Francisco State. And I feel like networking is definitely one of those. Just access to the whole ICMA network, which is huge for local government professionals. And people will, respond to your email or take your call. When you say that I'm part of a student chapter of ICMA, that'll get their attention, because they'll know ICMA, they're a member of ICMA. So I think networking, jobs is a good one. I think that's on the mind of all students. And I think it will open up some doors for you to have that kind of being able to talk about ICMA student chapter and what you did, but also going back to the network thing, based on kind of what kind of job you're looking for and in what area, there's probably going to be people in that area that you should be talking to right away. And those people are probably ICMA members, or at least ICMA members know who they are. And so you can connect you with jobs. And then the resources, and Grant, you covered a lot of those, between kind of the informational and free webinars and that sort of thing. So I think those are, to me, those are probably three of the real big selling points of why you would definitely want to be a member of the ICMA student chapter in the MPA program. On PM Magazine, they take submissions from anyone who wants to write an article for PM Magazine. So I actually started out writing for magazines when I was in graduate school. I had a professor that gave us an assignment in a group. We ended up writing something that was called the content of EIRs, and we were analyzing EIRs and whether they were really just in hardcore environmental, or if there was some social stuff in there too. And we wrote it up and got it published in some tiny little professional organizations journal or something like that was very small. It was the AEP Environmental Monitor. But from that, I was able to take that and then to the next one, I was able to say, oh, I've already written for a professional publication. So now can I write for Planning Magazine or for PM Magazine? And I've always really enjoyed that. So you write so much, I think, as MPA students, and you're writing on topics that are of interest to everyone in the field. So if that's a particular interest, that's one way. You don't have to just be a reader of PM Magazine, you can be a contributor to it as well. And then as a member of ICMA, you get the Leadership Matters kind of email, e-newsletter and other newsletters that has things like free webinars and materials to look at, upcoming events, job postings, things like that through kind of just like regular communication from ICMA. The ICMA conferences that Grant you mentioned, I wanted to just call out a couple things. One is that you can attend those. They have great training sessions. So you can kind of hear what ICMA thinks are the most important things going on in local government in the US right now. So it's cool to kind of see what are they choosing for conference sessions and who's presenting at those conference sessions. And you can go up to those people afterwards and introduce yourself and say, hi, I'm part of the ICMA student chapter, and exchange information, and that person could be helpful to you as you're looking for a job or just looking for information. Not just the people that are presenting there, but then just all the other attendees at the ICMA conference. They're really good at setting up these like cohorts of different kinds of interest groups and like kind of creating spaces around a conference center to say like, students go to this lounge and or this group go to this lounge. So you can kind of find people that are like you at the conference. The other thing you could do, and this is kind of falls into that category of a little bit less common, but kind of fun, would be propose a session. And I remember at the last ICMA conference I went to, there was a session that was just Gen Z and millennial local government employees talking about what their strategies are for working with baby boomers and Gen X employees. And I thought it was awesome because I've been to so many conferences from baby boomers and Gen X employees talking about how do you work with millennials and Gen Z employees. So to flip it was awesome. So to have that participation is like, you'll get a lot of people coming to that session because they're interested in having all these different generations in the workplace at the same time. And then lastly, the I in ICMA is international, and they've been trying to really put more of a focus on that. There's an international committee that you can join, but then there's also kind of different events that they put on. They'll send people, people go to conferences in other countries. So there's a literature to review and things like that on the website as well around kind of the international aspect of ICMA. And I got involved in it as a city manager through their YSEALI program, which is Young Southeast Asian Leadership Institute that ICMA works with. So I was able to host here at the city of San Rafael. I was able to host a woman from Cambodia, and then I went through another cycle as well. And then I was able to then go to Cambodia to work with that person on a project that we kind of put together and scoped out when she was here visiting the city of San Rafael. So that's more of like at the city manager level, but there's all sorts of other ways to just get involved in the international program so that you're learning about what's going on globally in local government too. So I just wanted to add those things, Grant, because I think that there's some kind of less common or really interesting ways that for a particular person, like if you're a person that loves to write, you can get really involved, or you're focused more on international things, you can get really involved. But I really do think the networking, the better access to jobs, and then all the resources that ICMA has are kind of what I think are the three big things that I wanted to communicate today.
Yeah, and just being a part of a professional organization in general is about kind of staying up to date on the state of the art of the field. And it's a great resource for always being kind of informed, because like any other field, you kind of have to keep up with it. It's always changing. And you learn about that in 700, how public administration has evolved over the last like 100 years. And, little trends make, big differences. So, yeah, with that, I think that really covers the meat and potatoes of what we were doing here today. And if there's any questions from our little audience here, we'd be more than happy to do what we can with those.
I don't have any questions. This was really helpful. I especially like the coaching site that you showed. I had no idea that was an option. So thank you for doing this. This is really helpful.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you for coming, and especially to anyone who's going to be watching this in after the fact and recording. Yeah, I hope this is something that the chapter puts on like almost every semester, if not every year. So yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and end the recording there. And thanks for coming and pulling through.
Thank you. Bye.